Hey everyone, welcome back. I've got 9 cards to show you in this video, so I'm going to try to make this intro really quick. You all know I like to add my own hand-drawn elements to stamped images at times. So today I wanted to try drawing over stencils. I was having a masking moment involving many layers of sticky notes as well as making my own labels with washi tape. So here's what I have to share, and I hope that these card examples help you all think differently about your stencils. So for my first card, I'm going to make a Christmas in July card. When I saw this diamond builder stencil from Altenew, my first thought was making the top part of the diamond into a tree. So that's exactly what I did. I took the Green Fields ink set from Altenew and ink blended my first layer with frayed leaf. Then I flipped the stencil over on the horizontal plane and ink blended the second layer with forest glades. Now, if you were using this stencil as directed, you would flip the stencil over on the vertical plane and then finally flip the stencil one last time on the horizontal plane to create this lovely diamond. But instead I opted for drawing random decorations on these Christmas trees. I used a Pigma Micron pen in 01 to draw lines, dots, stars, however you feel you can adorn your happy little trees. I recently bought the pigment inks from Altenew, and I really hope they come out with re-inkers because these inks don't mess around. They're so juicy and ultra crisp, and it dries much faster than some of the other pigment inks I own. The sentiment comes from Altenew Beautiful Inside. I will have affiliate links to the stencils below. All the other materials will be listed over on my blog. The next stencil is the On the Plus Side stencil. Seriously, throw some black ink blending over the stencil on white cardstock and you've already got yourself a really modern card inspired by home decor. But today I decided to add some drawn elements to the stenciled image as well. It was at this point I was having a moment with washi tape and masking. I took the sentiment from Altenew Forever in Love stamp and die set and created a washi tape mask wide enough to fit this We Are Better Together sentiment. I simply ink blended frosted pink over some pink cardstock for a tone-on-tone look and created a drop shadow below the washi tape mask. Then I grabbed a gold gel pen and outlined a few clusters of the pluses. I wasn't careful in getting this super exact. In fact, this sketchy look is what I wanted for this graphic looking card. Then I stamped the sentiment using enchanted gold pigment ink. Oh, and by the way, all of these cards could potentially be one layer. I'm too accident prone to stamp directly on my note card, so I almost always use a card panel. But if you're much braver, the point of these cards is to also make something beautiful that will hopefully go through the mail much better. For this third card, I debated on something colorful or something just totally different. In this stencil, I saw the lovely irregularities of the open space and I thought, well, this sort of looks like a barcode. Then I went rummaging through my Altenew stash and I found this lovely gem of a sentiment that totally fit with the barcode and unique individual vibe I was going for. So I created a mask big enough to showcase the sentiment with a sticky note. To break up the hard vertical lines, I created a rough edge to the mask by ripping it. Then I ink blended a portion of the stencil onto my card panel with Altenew Cloudy Night. This comes from the Gentleman's Gray set of inks. After revealing the card panel and removing all the masks, I used Crimson from Altenew Red Sunset to stamp the sentiment. Then I added some red and white baker's twine to emphasize the laser scanning the barcode. I was going to add more, but I felt like this was a statement as is, so I decided to leave it alone before I got carried away. If you know my vibe, you'll quickly find out that this Milky Way stencil was one of my favorite stencils from this release. I love constellations, astrology, galaxy-inspired art, so I wanted to completely deconstruct this complex and endless realm into one very clean and simple card. The first thing I did was quickly ink blend over the smaller set of stars in this layering stencil. Then I took the same micron pen from earlier and drew some dots to make faux star formations. I tried not to go overboard with this and kept these constellations evenly spaced. I also have this circular mask made from the coordinating die from Altenew to the Moon. By the way, this stamp and die set is my favorite from Altenew. Next, I will foil these stars using iCraft Deco Foil and a sheet of silver to make these stars really shine. Luckily, since these stars are so small, it took no time for these stars to turn transparent, telling me that the panel is ready to go through the laminating machine to foil. Once I've got this foiled, I'll remove the circular mask that I created, and I'll stamp one of the layers of the stamp image into the circle with obsidian. I'll do the same with the sentiment that comes from the same stamp set, and exaggerate the placement into the very bottom left corner. Do y'all have cards that you just can't give away because you like it so much? This is one of them that's going in my JC stash. Okay, I lied about the Milky Way Stencil being my favorite because I actually was thrilled with the way this Buffalo Plaid Builder stencil card came out. Before any ink blending, I placed some washi tape to mask off the area where I wanted this Hello, Love sentiment to go. This sentiment comes from the graphic brushstroke stamp set. Luckily, this washi tape that I have is tall enough for my sentiment. I started inking part of my stencil with Coral Berry, making sure to frame the washi tape. Then after this, I moved the stencil covering the ink I just put down and moved in rainbow order. So I used orange cream, fresh lemon, green field, Caribbean sky, and finally lavender fields. I'll have the family of Altenew inks that these colors belong to over on my blog. This partial stencil technique is actually part of the rules I follow when using stencils, and I've got a video all about what I mean by that. Before ink blending a drop shadow onto my card, I added splatters again with jet black ink spray, just to break up the symmetry of this pattern. Then, after I reveal the masked area, I'll stamp the sentiment in obsidian pigment ink. And that finishes this card that is also going in my JC stash. Okay, 4 more cards, or maybe 5, who knows. In this card, I'll be doing the usual ink blending over the stencil. In this case, it's the wonderful Wreath Stencil. I love this wreath because you can rotate the stencil and get as little or as full of a wreath as you want. Or you can cut apart the ink blended elements and make your own arrangement. So for this example, I'll rotate the stencil and use the Micron 01 pen again to trace the shape of the wreath. So I thought it would go perfectly with the graphic vibes I've been thinking of for these card examples. Instead of using the berries that come with the stencil, I grabbed an Altenew artist marker in the B set and drew in some details with the bullet nib. I created a drop shadow underneath the washi tape label with soft lilac to frame my sentiment. This sentiment comes from Altenew sentiment strips, and I thought I'd turn this into a different looking card for a bridal shower or a wedding. This doily frame stencil is similar to the Wreath Stencil as far as how I use this product. I combined a washi tape mask and a die cut Mega Greetings to You mask to layer dimension throughout this one layer card. Now, I've seen many of you use ink blending brushes. I just had to test the hype for myself with a generic version before investing in the brushes specifically for papercraft. I used the brush instead of the ink blending sponges because I find it easier to blend into the color of the cardstock rather than blending 2 ink colors together. In other words, I feel like I get a much better diffusion when I'm not ink blending multiple colors together for a gradient. I removed the washi tape mask and stamped the sentiment from the coordinating die set from Altenew Mega Greetings 2. I added some white details with a gel pen because white on craft, there's nothing more appealing than that. This next card is made using the extremely versatile bubble wrap stencil from Altenew. Seriously, I could have had a video on its own of all the ideas I had for this stencil. But I know you all could come up with some even more creative ideas, and I hope that you share them with me over on Instagram. Anything that involves a circle can be made into a full array of hand-drawn items. For this example, I decided to make a whole panel of oranges because I knew I wanted to use the sentiment from Altenew Simple Fruits that says, "Orange, you glad we're friends?" So I ink blended a partial panel of orange circles, and then used a green Altenew artist marker from set A to draw in some leaves. I grabbed the micron I've been using for all the cards and added some sketchy graphic details around the oranges. No need to be exact with your circles. In fact, I think the more hand-drawn, the better. As an added bonus, I quickly made a card with cats using the same techniques I used for the orange card. I didn't show a full tutorial for this one because I don't have a stamp cat themed sentiment from Altenew, so I just wrote one in myself. Alright, last card, finally. Are you still there? This color block heart stencil from Altenew is so interesting, and it reminds me of the Plus stencil from the same release. I followed the suggested ink families on the back of the stencil packaging because I thought they would work perfectly with this baby card. So the first thing I did was mask an area off with washi tape again. Then I inked my first layer in the warm gray ink family from Altenew and inked all the hearts except for the 3 surrounding the washi tape area. I inked one of the hearts with frosty pink, then the other heart with sea glass, then this third heart I traced with the micron pen. Then I moved on to the next layer. I flipped the stencil over on the horizontal plane and lined up the images to make a repetitive heart pattern throughout the card panel. Then inked the remainder of the pattern with evening gray and finished the red heart with coral berry and the blue heart with ocean waves. Before finishing this card, I added some splatters in my usual jet black ink spray and grabbed my Versamark pen. What I wanted to do was add a foiled heart on top of the outlined heart that I made. I'm doing this by roughly filling in the outlined heart, adding some sticky embossing powder, and then run the dry embossing powder and a small bit of heat transfer foil through my laminating machine. I stamped the sentiment from Bundle of Joy stamp set in antique gold pigment ink. Both of these are from Altenew. Alright, finally we have made it to the end. Well, I should say I made it to the end, did you? Which one of these is your favorite? Let me know in the comments below or over on my blog. This video is in conjunction with the Altenew July 2019 stencil release. Like I said earlier, I've got a complete listing of all the Altenew materials I used on my card projects over on my blog. You'll find that link below as well as affiliate links to the products I used. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate you all coming along with me on this crafty journey, and I'm so glad you take the time to watch what I'm creating. Thank you to Team Altenew for the opportunity to design, and I'll talk to you all very soon. Have the best day.